Hi, this is my next documentation video, and as you can hear, I decided to record voice for it, so I can kind of go on and explain things, explain what I've been working on or how different features work, and it's just a better documentation method, I think, because I can go a lot more in depth than just showing video. So just a few words about the game before we start with anything else. So what is this game going to be? What kind of game do I plan this to be? And to give you a simple answer, imagine like a simple action RPG, kind of like Diablo. Randomized maps, randomly generated from a tile system that I'm going to be working on, and randomized loot. And basically you'll have just a few abilities, like 6-10 abilities that you can pick from. I don't know the limit of the action bar at this moment, but you're only going to be able to select a few abilities, and then you kind of have to form a build either around the items that dropped, or you look for item drops based around the spells and builds you want to choose. And basically the main objective, kill the last boss. There's going to be multiple bosses, hopefully, that's how I'm planning it. And of course, you need character power to defeat it. So you clear these randomized levels until you can beat the boss. So what have I been working on? What changed since the last video? Well, as you can see, there's another dummy, and they're named now. So these are the regular dummies. This is an armored boss dummy. It basically takes less damage and it has more health. For now, that's all the difference. And yeah, I'm gonna jump into the game and just maximize the viewport. So the controls is 2-axis movement, and you can separately rotate the camera with mouse or the controller. Both are hooked up, so both work. There might be some lag spikes, apologize for that, but apparently my PC can handle recording and playing at the same time. So if that happens, some frame drops or audio lag, I apologize for that. So I'll go over what changed. So you can see on the bottom, I have kind of a UI. It says Warp and Ice Spike. That's the two spells I have access to right now. Warp warps me in the direction that I move in, not the direction that I'm looking in. So basically I can use it to strafe, just back off, or whatever else. I'll get rid of the cursor. So warp is basically a tool, and I can move diagonally, and it warps me until I hit something that's in the way. So I can't blink through walls, but that might be a feature in the future. Okay, so this flash, just to quickly explain, was the melee attack. It's just an indicator so I can test melee attacks and I know when it happens. It's a placeholder thing for some feedback. My other ability, as you can see, is Ice Spike on the bottom. You might have seen that in the previous video as well. This is where I conjure up this Ice Spike and charge it until it's fully charged. And then I can just release it whenever I want, in whichever direction I'm looking at. And for now it goes through walls, but so far it hits damageable objects only. So that's my Ice Spike. You can release it early, but it has a base damage which scales up as you charge it. And right now it's a little bit broken because I messed around with the scaling stats, so the minimum maximum damage difference is kind of huge. But basically when you see the flash, it adds a ton of bonus damage, incentivizing the player to use it on max charge. But the bonus damage isn't gonna be this much higher than the base damage. That's just kind of a remnant thing from testing. So those are my two spells. While I'm casting this, you can see the cooldown is not going down on the bottom. But my character is marked as busy channeling, and I cannot use warp right now until I release it, at which point I can use warp again. So that's kind of how the abilities interact with each other, and it's all already taken care of. Now, the melee damage cleaves. Just want to show that. I don't know if that was visible in the previous in the previous video. Sorry. And now also you can kill the dummies, and the last hit still has the damage number, and it resets after like 2 seconds. So the boss is basically the same, it just takes less damage, a lot less damage. And my melee attacks scale from both power and magic, because I don't want magic users to not have a free damage ability that they can use to fill those gaps in combat where they regen, energy, focus, or whatever else. So I don't want mage builds to be out of the game when it comes to attacking during downtime. So yeah, and this focus is just restore some focus for debug purposes. So as you can see, my melee scales from the damage. Now, another thing is that I wanted to mention that these item cards are now complete. They're fully dynamically generated. And I have this test weapon, which I made specifically for the demonstration of this video, because I want to demonstrate the item weight system when it comes to dropping. So in my save game, I have a few arrays of structs. One of those arrays is my item list array, and here I have all my items, basically saying all their stats manually entered. So the items themselves, I don't plan to be randomized of what stats they give. I want to have a huge list of items from which I randomize what drops, what doesn't, based on their item weight. So my drop weight on the test weapon is 500. The drop rate on my other weapons and equipment pieces are all about 10. So test weapons should drop with a massively increased drop chance. So let's say we go up to 5,000. And I'll also change some stats. So I'll add 50 magic, 30 health, just so you can see the item card also works. I'll take away the energy regen and I'll give like 20 bonus energy, whatever. And now, when I break objects or kill mobs or whatever can drop things, my test weapon has a really high chance of dropping. As you can see, some of the other ones still go through, but it's mostly test weapons. The odds are like 5,000 to about 100 of dropping anything else. And as you can see, the item card generates correctly. It doesn't display null stats that are giving me 0 bonus. So it just cleans it up, selects only the ones that should be displayed. I can select a specific ability and specifically boost that, give it bonus damage, reduced cooldown or whatever. I have global cooldown reductions. I have all kinds of stats. And so basically that's how the item system works. And UI colors, different UI elements will pull from this table. So I can just change something here, change the color of enemy units, and they will all change. I don't have to go into every UI that's attached to enemies and change every red color to something else. They all pull from here. So I can change it in one place. And this could be also used for colorblind features or colorblind settings. So this is my abilities list. I have so far Blink, which I called Warp, and Ice Spike. So this is the display name. This is just a name that the code uses in the background. They can differ, doesn't matter. And as you can see, I can set the cooldown of spells, the cost, the travel range. There's so many stats, and as you can see, a lot of them are 0. And that is because this spell doesn't use all these different kind of variables. So when I calculate how the ability, how the spell works, how it applies damage, how it travels, each ability will pull the ones that it needs. So this Ice Spike, for example, doesn't use, let's say, hit radius. So it doesn't matter that this is 0 because it's not using it. The algorithm to make the spell work doesn't use that. So these are all possible stats and attributes that any of my spells could possibly use. So as you can see, there's a self-center radius, which I'm going to use for maybe a flame cloak spell that puts a flame aura around you. but the ice spike won't use a self-center radius, so that doesn't have one. So here I can tweak the stats, and my ice spike now scales from 10 base damage to 100 with charge time, with a 250 bonus when you see that little flash and it fully charges. So I'll put this back to kind of normal values. This is how I had it. It doubles in damage, and when it's fully charged, it adds an extra 15 to that. So now we can test that. So we can see that the minimum charge is 10, the maximum should be 35. And if I equip magic, stats, give some extra to simulate having new items that give me more magic. Damage scales, the max damage scales, and the full charge bonus damage also scales. This guy just takes health damage, but it's the same thing. So that's how all my damage calculation and abilities are fired up for the moment. So this is how the ability system works, and it so far already scales with damage and everything. But of course there are features that I have to still finish on it. So what will I work on next is possibly going to be item equipment system, because what's an action RPG without equipping items and getting more powerful? So I want to work on that system where you can equip an ability, press a button over it, and it will add its stats to the player stats, and then you will dynamically see the change in combat. So that's possibly what I'm going to be working on next. So yeah, I just wanted to do this quick update, try to keep it as short as I can, possibly ramble a bit, but yeah, this is the format I'm going to follow, I think, from now on, with voice explaining what's happening, except if I just really quickly show a feature in like 10-15 seconds and it needs no explanation because it's obvious. In that case, I'm just going to release a short video, but this is the format I kind of want to keep to because it's better for documentation. So yeah, thank you for watching through it, and I'll be back with another update hopefully soon.